So the iRacing 2026 Season 2 build is here, and today we're going to take a bit of a deep dive in what exactly it entails and how things are actually going to affect you as a driver. So the first point that I found interesting in the patch notes is to do with the UI. So we've got some new HUD profiles and such, so you can change how your sim HUD looks, and you can save it as a profile, then load it, so you can have like different profiles for different things if that's what you're interested in. But the coolest one that I noticed was right here, the new feature with the throttle and brake timeline. Now if you're watching sort of any kind of streamer on Twitch or anything, you'll notice that they normally have a graph with throttle and brake traces on it, so you can see the timeline as it scrolls past, so you can see how the brake trace would actually look if you were to load it up in some kind of telemetry software. So again, for me as a streamer on Twitch and YouTube, that is great. I don't need to run external software to see that now. So the second point would be something to do here with the tyres. So they're saying here that they have improved the vertical damping force and rolling drag torque, which is applied to tyres based on the contact area fraction during multiplane contact, so hitting curbs or track edges. Now I'm fairly certain that this is mostly targeted at the new Porsche Cup car. Now of course we've seen over the course of Season 1 that the Pcup is traditionally quite bouncy, especially when you're dealing with like curb strikes and things like that. The car, when it lands, it doesn't really settle. So yeah, they've improved the vertical damping force, which should in turn hopefully prevent that or at least reduce it, but of course we'll find that out later in the video when we get out on track and give it a go. So another interesting point here is to do with the dynamic track model. iRacing have sort of adjusted the way that marbles are calculated and things like that, so they're saying now that the marbles are more likely to stick to the tyre for a duration rather than being immediately thrown off. I think the Sebring 12 hour will probably be the biggest test of this new dynamic track change, and it will be interesting to see if iRacing have sort of scaled up the involvement of marbles, because as of right now, for the most part, they are just mostly cosmetic. Now this is probably the biggest change that we will see in this update, and that is a complete redo of the GTE cars. Just to start at the top, they have an improved feel near the limit of grip, so it's a whole new tyre model, and physics model has been added as well. It's also rain ready, which will be interesting. Of course, these cars are very similar to GT3 in a lot of aspects, but they don't have ABS, and I'm pretty sure they're a little bit lighter and a little bit more powerful. They've updated some ride height rules and stuff to accommodate for the Nordschleife. They've improved some of the damper adjustment quality, and if you're interested in reading this full thing, obviously you can pause the video at this point. We're just sort of going through it quite briefly. And probably the last big change that we've seen regarding the cars will be the TCRs. So they have updated the tyre model. Yeah, it's just sort of bringing them more in line with the other cars on the service, because I think previously the TCRs had fallen behind a little bit. So for those of you who are interested in driving TCR cars, this could be a really nice update for you. And then lastly, moving on to the tracks, we've got some updates to Adelaide and such. A couple little issues have been fixed there. They've fully updated Barber, so it's got like a full art rebuild from the ground up. They've got new laser scan data, which they've acquired. If we scroll down to Sebring, it has had a variety of artwork updates. They've updated the trees and such things that, you know, don't really matter to how it's going to drive. The actual track surface itself has remained the same. There's no new scan data, so the track won't feel any different. It will just look different purely from an art perspective. And then lastly, we have St. Petersburg, which is a really awesome addition. You can see here, this is proof that iRacing and IndyCar are building a closer bond. They're really working to try and integrate as much of the IndyCar ecosystem into iRacing as possible, so that the IndyCar Pro Series is represented in the best possible light through updates to the IndyCar, bringing in more IndyCar specific tracks as well. And another street circuit is always a good one. Like, although the participation isn't great, they are always great fun to drive. I love a good street circuit. Yeah, it's positive signs all round really from iRacing. But yeah, it's all well and good sitting here reading the patch notes, but let's actually go and drive the cars and see if everything that we've just discussed is actually any good. Alright, so we're in the sim now. We are in the BMW GTE. This is the car that I race when we were competing in the VRS GT series back in the day, so I've got the most seat time with it. But again, it's been almost 7 years since I actually drove this car, so we're just on the iRacing sort of high downforce baseline, and we're just going to go take it for a few laps, get a bit of a feel for what it's actually like. Now, first things first, the FFP is quite heavy in this car. Tweak that down just a little bit. Okay, so there's definitely cool tyres, that's for sure. And no ABS will catch you out there. So we're going to gradually build it up, get a feel for the new tyre model and the new physics and such. So straight away, obviously we can see the new tyre has got a bit of a cold phase for sure. The car's sort of moving around quite a bit. And I definitely feel that under braking the stopping distance is quite extended. But general balance is pretty nice. I will say, even on the cool tyres, it handles far better than GT3s on cool tyres. Now on the straight, we can see the new telemetry graph for the pedals. This is now built into iRacing, which is awesome. We don't need to download any external software to show that on stream, so you can see exactly what the brake trace and throttle trace would look like. And straight away, after one lap, it's already generated quite a bit of temp here. The grip has really picked up. It already pushed the braking zones quite hard. And it is interesting actually, the part of the patch notes that said, you know, increased feel at the limit of grip. You can definitely feel that. Like the car, I can feel it moving around, especially on throttle. The rear isn't fully planted, although these cars do have TC. It's not a very aggressive TC, it's quite subtle. It just sort of sits there in the background. Yeah, you can definitely feel the car moving around, but it's not snappy like the GT3s can be. General balance is pretty comfy, to be honest. Yeah, tyre temps are starting to come up now. We're really within the operating range. And yeah, generally it just feels really, really nice to drive. Alright, try one more lap. Nice and wide in T1, carry the speed on the entry. Early throttle pickup, does it stick? Just about. Nice early braking here, managed inside rear locking. See the yellow LEDs flashing away there. Up over the curb, handles it pretty nicely. Pack that entry a bit more than you think. Use a bit of curb on the exit. Rear end's definitely a little bit floaty at low speed, but by no means challenging. Sort of sits there. And into here, the no ABS makes this a bit trickier than before. That's really nice. I love the feel of the brakes though. Brakes are very, very good. A little bit of rear locking on the entry there. Nice to keep it under control. There we're corner, really tricky corner. Trying to attack the entry, but also focus on the exit. Did the rear sort of fight me a little bit. Into the S's. Really, really fun section of track. Very bit of entry speed, try not to overslow too much. Open up this left, right over the curb, open up the right. Salt the track, there we go. Last corner, try and not have any oversteer because it will bog down so hard. Nice early left. Oh, we've locked inside front. No! That is how easy it is with the GTE, just to lose the front end. But no, generally, very, very impressed with that. That feels, yeah, feels very nice. Alright, so we're in the Pcup now. Let's see if those changes to the vertical damping have improved things with the Pcup. Right, so we've done a couple laps, got a bit of heat in the tyre. Let's see if these fixes have done the trick. A bit there, let's see. Nope, they haven't. Alright guys, well that was a a look at the Season 2 build. Of course, there's a heck of a lot more that was actually involved in the patch notes than I actually touched on in that video. I just tried to pick out like the most relevant ones that would apply to me and you guys who watch me. I will post a link in the description, the patch notes, if you haven't seen them already, and you can have a full read through of everything and see if there's anything that catches your eye that I haven't mentioned in this video. But yeah, if you guys are interested in any kind of coaching whatsoever, or any kind of additional support, then please click the link in the description for my Discord. It will take you straight into that server, and then you can request a coaching session with me. So if you're wanting any help with GTEs, GT3, Pcup, LMP2, anything like that, just give me a message and I'm sure we can sort something out. But with that, thanks so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.